At it again. Saturday night of October 16th, 2021. You're checking out a new RCWR show covering all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. A good Saturday night to you guys. Man, I did a little bit of pre-show yakety yak, and normally when I'm in post-production, particularly with the video cast version of the show, I usually eliminate the pre-show yakety yak, right? I could just make it easy and just have there be some music playing and stream is about to start, little graphic on the screen, but I figured just, makes more sense to just pop up, chat with you guys, mingle for a little bit before we actually do the show. So it's kind of like a nice little pre-show before the actual show, if you will. But like I was saying during the pre-show, because you guys aren't going to hear it once I edit, I totally forgot Dynamite was tonight. And I was just in front of the TV less than 24 hours ago after work, and I was watching Rampage, covering Rampage. As many of you guys know, I cover Rampage on the 411 Mania site. I'm doing live ongoing coverage, and then immediately afterwards, I'm providing a review for Rampage and all that. So if you guys haven't been checking out my work over there, definitely do so. Pretty soon, I'm going to start doing little side pieces as well on top of always covering Rampage. I just gotta, it's not so much the free time, it's just honestly been getting my feet wet, getting familiar with the great team over there at 411 Mania, breaking bread, all that good stuff, before really diving in and, spawning off some of my pieces that I have in mind that I'd like to see be there on the site. Definitely some wrestling related stuff, some non-wrestling related stuff, some stuff in between, but they definitely would be a great avenue for that. But I totally blanked out that Dynamite was tonight, and I actually had work tonight. So, I'm kicking back. I'm interacting with the wifey after I get off from work. We're kicking back, we're having a good time, just chatting it up and everything. Next thing I know, just out of nowhere, something said, wham! And I said, damn, real loud. And she goes, what's wrong? I said, I forgot. I got to cover Dynamite tonight. And she's like, well, I thought you said you don't have a pay-per-view to cover this weekend. I said, no. I was like, I don't. But Dynamite moved to Saturday night tonight. And I think they're going to be on Saturday again next weekend. I'm supposed to watch Dynamite. I'm actually supposed to do a show. So at about 10 o'clock is when I finally had started watching Dynamite. Did a little bit of fast forwarding, but out of 100%, I would say I watched about 90% of tonight's Dynamite. And anything that I thought was kind of worthy, I did make sure that I rewinded, checked it out, try to watch the full sequence in its entirety, and then pretty much go from there. So if I'm missing anything in particular, shout out to those of you that check out the AEW shows on a regular basis. Definitely let me know if I'm missing out on something. But all we're talking about is AEW on this episode. I know normally when we do shows like this, because normally when we're talking Dynamite, we're usually talking Dynamite on our Wednesday RCWR shows. Really, when you think about it, because we talk Dynamite, we talk NXT, we go a little bit all over the place on the Wednesday show. But this is a little bit more concise. This is a little bit more tighter, as we're just running off of just pretty much one thing only, and just everything that spawns from that, right? So this is a bit kind of different. Nice little change of pace, right? We don't have to feel as though we got to overload. So, I'm down with that. But for those of you that want to know my thoughts about SmackDown and all of that, I'll talk about it on Monday's show, since we're going to be coming right here. So make sure you represent, because after Monday and Tuesday, that's pretty much going to be it. I don't believe I'm going to be doing a show Wednesday, since I got to do the Jericho cruise. I'm probably going to be going to bed pretty early Wednesday, because we got to catch an early flight in the wee hours of the night. We got to catch a early flight. So if I can pull off a Wednesday show, I'll let you guys know, because I got to get with the missus and figure out what the trip itinerary entails exactly. But if there's a way I can pull it off, I'll let you guys know. But by all accounts, as far as I know, Monday, Tuesday, that's going to be it for shows until until next Tuesday, basically. Not this coming Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. Yo, if you're a AEW fan, if you are a wrestling fan in general, if you are that type of wrestling fan, you like looking for that new adrenaline rush. You like looking for something kind of out of the ordinary, kind of out of the box, something that'll kind of get you really excited, get you jumping, get you hyped and everything, then I feel that what AEW had offered within the past 48 hours, excellent content. I got to tell you, excellent content. We saw Dynamite go off the air not long ago, and overall, pretty solid 2-hour show that they did. I can't really, and I don't think it's fair for me to talk about Dynamite. I would love to talk about Dynamite first, but we definitely need to kind of rewind it back and talk about that great episode of Rampage that they gave us 24 hours prior. And that was phenomenal. Yeah, look, and I'm not just saying that. For me personally, I've been checking out these Rampages since the very first episode, right down to the point when I began working for 411 Mania. I've been writing up the reviews, providing the live coverages for Rampage since the very first episode. So I am definitely a day one Rampage guy. And even I've told you here on the shows off and on the past couple of weeks that some of the Rampage episodes felt a bit not really that strong of an episode. And early on I questioned what was going to be exactly the identity of Rampage going forward, as far as was it going to be a complimentary third hour to what was being done on Dynamite, or is it going to be a show that somehow bridges the gaps there from what's being done on Dark Elevation and Dark? Or is it going to just have its own unique carved out identity of a show for that hour that it's on? And by all accounts, the way it's coming off right now, it's a damn good third companion piece to Dynamite, while also stringing together, a few cats that we normally would get an opportunity to see on a semi-regular basis on Elevation and Dark Elevation. So, I like what's been going on, but that Rampage buy-in, now, by the time I got home, I actually caught the buy-in right as it was beginning. So I saw Taya Conti taking on my girl Santana Garrett, and love me some Santana Garrett. I've been I can't remember for how many years now I've been a Santana Garrett fan, but way before she even got involved with NXT. I've been checking out Santana Garrett since she was at one point a main Stapleton for the Shine Wrestling women's promotion. That's how far back. So if you know your women's wrestling like that, you definitely know, oh yeah, that's a good minute. That's one of my first memories of coming across Santana Garrett and her work and everything. So anytime I'm able to see her in the ring, look, I thought what Santana and my girl, oh man, I just blanked out on her name. Tay Conti. I thought what they had did there for the buy-in opener, I thought that was a fairly decent little match. I know we got some fans who are going to be kind of overcritical and all of that. I can't really hate on that match whatsoever. I'm not going to poo-poo on that match. I thought for the length of time that those girls had, which honestly was roughly about, I would say, you were lucky if that match had even hit about 5 minutes. I felt for what it was worth, the fact that it was a little starter for the buy-in, it was good. The amount of time that these girls were given, Yeah, I thought it was a nice back and forth. And honestly, anytime I get to see Santana Garrett on my television, that always puts a smile on my face because I've been a fan of her work for many years. And I definitely, I got to take a step back and I really, really, I say this, but it feels as though I don't say this often enough. I remember when AEW first started. And I remember particularly when it came to looking at their women's division. And you're just going, man, the lack of what they got going on for their women's division, man, not much really to be desired. It really ain't got nothing going on here. And I remember some of the laughs that were coming about at the time for the women's roster. And now, when you look at where they are, and not for nothing, but when you go back and you look at how it was with that women's division when it first started, and then you look at, okay, from the inception to who's here currently, a lot of the faces that were starting that women's division for AEW, a lot of them are still there. A lot of them are still there. But remember, when things had first began, Brandy Rhodes was involved. Remember that? They did the whole photo spreads, TV guide, all that stuff. Brandy Rhodes was in it. Kylie Ray. Rio. Rio was definitely an OG there. Nyla Rose. I mean, it was a very, very intimate women's division, if you even want to call it that. And so to see how it's pretty much blossomed since the creation of AEW in the women's division, and we go to now, and like just to further strengthen and validate the point that I'm making, for those of you that have Twitter, do a Twitter search and play with the keywords AEW women's roster, or do something along the lines of AEW women's roster then now, or something along those lines. Just play around with those words, and you'll come across an image that somebody had, created. They basically had gathered up all the information and they put it in this nice little image spread, and they show you a before and after. Well, not really before and after, but they pretty much show you how the women's roster for AEW looked since day one, and then where it is. And I think the cutoff for that, I'm thinking month-wise, I think their cutoff was maybe late August, maybe early September was their cutoff. Night and day. Night and day. And I'm going on and on and on about the women's division as I have been so far, because, when I look at Santana Garrett, I've personally always felt that Santana Garrett, I mean, you just look at her, she looks like a star. You look at what that woman can do in the ring, and she's able to make bread with the best of them. As far as I'm concerned, she can cut it with the best of them. And just seeing how she was done in WWE under their NXT division, yeah, it just rubbed me the wrong way, because I always felt that, this girl is so capable of much more than what's being given to her. Let's just really try to, get behind this girl and everything. But as we all know, not everybody can be the Charlotte Flairs, can be the Sasha Banks, can be the Jade Cargills, the Nyla Roses. Not everybody can, you got to have some utility players in there. I like the start that Santana Garrett is on, right now. But as far as, and I'm telling you guys, especially if you love your women's wrestling and all that, if Santana Garrett is somebody you've been, you've never had that name in your crosshairs, that's a name that you've pretty much been sleeping on. She's definitely one you want to continue to be watching. Hopefully, the match that she had there with Tay Conti, hopefully that was enough for you to kind of whet your appetite a little bit. For what those girls did, I thought they did pretty good in the time that was allowed. I wasn't expecting them to do a Broadway when it's all said and done. Make no mistake about that. I thought for the little bit of time we were given was all right. It was actually all right. Lee Moriarty taking on Bobby Fish for that buy-in. That was another one that was extremely that was pretty good. That was pretty damn good. I felt that Moriarty held himself up extremely well against Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish, the veteran there. As we know with Bobby Fish, there's a guy that was recently cut from the WWE, and as I mentioned in my review, my overall review for Rampage this week, when it came particularly to Bobby Fish, I just couldn't help but bring up the question, what exactly is in the cards here for Bobby Fish? Sure, we see what's going on kind of short-term wise, and I really want to make sure I expand upon this thought even more, because I know some people probably had checked out my review, and that part about Bobby Fish, I wouldn't be surprised if some had got a little cynical and was like, well, I'll tell you what's next. Bobby Fish, Daniel Bryan, duh. But my brain, the way I always operate, I kind of like to look at the bigger picture, so to speak. I usually like to, okay, so what exactly is the plan, 60 days from now, 90 days from now, 6 months from now, in regards to this wrestler right here. I look at Bobby Fish in particular. Here's a journeyman, here's a veteran that is in his 40s now. If you want to say he's in his young 40s, you can go ahead and you can say that. But last I checked, Bobby Fish is 44, getting ready to turn 45. So, he's going to be just a handful of years away from the big 5-0. And for me, I can't help but say to myself, okay, yeah, maybe a future tag team champion. Hell, could even possibly be a future TNT champion. But other than those two possible potential outlooks, is there anything else in the cards here that could come about for Bobby Fish in AEW, or hell, maybe even be part of a new faction, so to speak? Is there anything? Yeah, that's where I was going. I want to make sure I'm really expanding upon that thought, because I know that some of you guys check out my review. That's what I was meaning when I got to that part about Bobby Fish and just, what's in store for him. It's so much more than just, well, Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, duh. Nah, that's what I was thinking about. Obviously, him having this match against Lee Moriarty, nice setup for Bobby Fish having his match against Danielson on tonight's Dynamite. So obviously, you had to make sure, he looked pretty damn good, and most importantly, he got the dub going into his match with Danielson. So make no mistake about it, as far as Moriarty taking on Fish for that buy-in, the right guy did go over. Make no mistake about that. But at the same time, you're looking at that work of Lee Moriarty. Again, young man held himself up extremely well against the veteran. Did not look nervous, and you can usually tell, when you're looking at wrestlers. You're looking at them in the ring and everything. You can usually tell who's probably got a little bit of nerves, happy nerves that's going on. Who's looking still a little bit green in some areas. Who's looking as though, okay, they really, really needed help there. It was obvious who was the leader there, who was calling the shots in that match. And in the case of Lee Moriarty, he was just smooth. Everything was just smooth with him taking on the veteran there, and Bobby Fish. Kid, as far as I'm concerned, showed me a lot of promise, and I definitely want to, just like with Dante Martin, I want to see more of Moriarty on my TV. So I know for right now, if I want that fix, it's going to have to be dark elevation and elevation. But, look, here's an idea. Here's an idea, by the way. I'm just saying, why not pair Lee Moriarty with Dante Martin? I mean, if I'm AEW, right, I'm just saying, that's a hell of a good idea. I think the two would definitely bounce off of each other extremely well. And I think they would be one interesting hybrid of a tag team, especially when you're locking them up with guys like FTR. You're locking them up with what's that one team I'm thinking of? Definitely the Acclaim, but there's another team that I'm thinking of. They're managed by Matt Hardy. I can hear their entrance too. I can hear the little lady pop up. Oh my God, is that Private Party? Private Party. I can just picture all the different types of matches that a team of Lee Moriarty and Dante Martin could have with those teams. Hell, even the Young Bucks. You even put the Young Bucks in there. After the stuff that I saw go down with Evo Uno and Dark Order there, and they were taking on the Bucks. Hell, you could even do some stuff there with Dark Order. So there's an idea right there. Maybe somewhere down the road we can get to that point. I think first we got to get past this Leo Rush thing. We'll talk more about Leo Rush because there was a nice little development there with Leo Rush and his relationship with Dante Martin we need to talk about much later on. The main event match for the Rampage buy-in, the Bryan Danielson taking on Minoru Suzuki. Now that I've had an opportunity to sleep on it, I'm staying right where I am with my critique of this match, especially when I had wrote up the review for it and everything. I still feel 24 plus hours later that what I saw was a magical moment in professional wrestling. I love when we get matches like that as wrestling fans, because if you are a lifelong wrestling fan, a diehard wrestling fan, it's matches like what you saw with Danielson and Suzuki that reminds you why all these years later you're still in love with professional wrestling. You still go out of your way to buy whatever shirts or little knickknacks. And, as Jim Ross likes to say from time to time when he's doing his one-man shows and all that, he pretty much lets you know, hey, it's okay to be a wrestling fan. Doesn't matter your age and all that. Yeah, you're going to have some people that's going to, hell, when I first began talking to my wife, she pulled the famous JR line. And when she found out that I was watching wrestling, she was like, wait, you still watch that shit? And literally word for word, that's what she said. And anybody that's seen Jim Ross's one-man show, he somehow he works that in there. He's like, you still watch that shit? It's like, yeah, still watch that shit, still love it. But his matches like what you saw of Danielson and Suzuki that just makes you tap into that place of fondness and so many great fond memories of yesterday's wrestling years. And just, this is why I love pro wrestling so much. And that was an instant banger of a classic. And I tell you what, it was so refreshing to see so many people that went out of their way to see this match. So many people that were like, wait a minute. I know SmackDown's doing their thing, but we talking about Danielson. Want to go see Danielson. It was so nice to see people show so much love to Danielson and, doing their research ahead of time. I'm sure that there are probably a lot of people don't know a damn thing about New Japan, don't know anything about Minoru Suzuki, but I'm sure that there was a decent amount that had went on YouTube or Dailymotion, was looking up stuff on the brother and said, okay, and he's taking on our boy Danielson. okay, this should be, pretty good and everything. I thought that was worthy of being considered match of the year candidate. I've got a nice little file folder on my desktop, and I have just saved all the matches that we've gotten this calendar year. I don't just go in there for the hell of it. I go in there, you just know. You just know when you're looking at something that is, that's match of the year candidate worthy. And you just mark the date, mark the opponents, and just, okay, it's in there. We'll see what happens, right? And we still got a little bit of ways to go before the end of 2021. I liked, and I got to address this because there's a very valid point that's being made by, if you want to call them AEW fans, that's fine. If you just want to call them wrestling fans in general, that's fine. If you want to even call them New Japan Pro Wrestling fans, that's fine too. But one thing that they all have in common, no matter how you want to tag them, is that there is a concern. And here's the concern, and I got to bring this observation up because it's not being mentioned enough, I don't personally feel. But you have concern there for Minoru Suzuki since he's been involved with AEW. Don't take my word for it. There are veteran Minoru Suzuki fans that are saying, not for nothing, but ever since Suzuki got involved with AEW, he hasn't really been looking impressive. He's been looking kind of meh. You've got other people that are going, these ain't my words. These are some of the things that people are saying. Keep that in mind now. You got other people that are saying, okay, I've heard all this great talk about Minoru Suzuki, seen the stuff on him online, but now that I've gotten what I've gotten of him in AEW so far, not impressed. And then you have others that are saying, okay, saw the stuff in New Japan. Wow, loved it. Hey, that match he did with Moxley in New Japan, oh, that was fantastic. Yeah, AEW, until he got the match with Danielson. Now, if you ask me straight up, where am I on that? Honestly, I've checked out Minoru Suzuki stuff off and on for some years now. The very first encounter that he had with Moxley over in New Japan, banger of a classic. Banger of a classic, no doubt about it. The very first time that AEW fans were introduced to Suzuki on AEW's turf, I just felt that was underwhelming. Very underwhelming. They should have done that a lot better. And they redeemed themselves. I will defend Tony Khan and them. They did redeem themselves when it came to Shogun, Lance Archer and Suzuki, and they were taking on Kingston and Moxley in that tag match. They did redeem themselves. And right down to the point, I remember doing the post-show afterwards saying that's the Suzuki that, honestly, we should have gotten from the get-go. And first impressions, they mean so much. Remember that? I always tell you guys, first impressions, so much, especially if you want to make that really good, strong first impression, because for most cases, all you get is that one first impression. And once that first impression, good, bad, indifferent, once you've given that person that first impression, that's it. That's what's going to stay with them from that period going forward. I mean, you got to do some drastic, it's got to be a serious 180 to try to win a mofo over, right? If you didn't win them over in that first impression, you got to work twice as hard to get them the second, third, fourth, or however many attempts you got to do. But I felt that Tony Khan and crew, and what they did there with Danielson, I just finally felt that, okay, now they really, 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 like they always knew what they had on their hands with Minoru Suzuki, but the way that they went about it was just, you can question it. But now that you had it go down the way that it did with Danielson, and it was an instant classic matchup, I felt they redeemed themselves tremendously in just that one night, that they had. Now, I'll tell you this, and I want to expand upon this thought a little bit more. I really was under the impression it was going to have some type of a shenanigans finish. I thought there was going to be some type of fuckery involved, whether that would be from the Bucks, you name it. Or I just thought something weird was maybe going to go down. Hell, maybe even Moxley crosses paths there. I just thought something was going to go down. And if there wasn't going to be any shenanigans, maybe it was going to be ending in a way where it was a time limit draw. And, the fact that we did see a decisive victor in that match, there's honestly a couple of different ways you can look at that. I mean, it really depends on your preference. One way you can look at this is, okay, Tony Khan and crew, they knew that they probably were going to be getting in a boatload of Suzuki fans. They were going to be getting in a boatload of, New Japan Pro Wrestling fans and everything. So, this is why we, ultimately had got this match. Because, a lot of people are looking at this matchup and they're going, wait a minute here. This is like a dream freaking matchup. Why didn't we get this officially on TNT? Or better yet, why didn't we officially get this one a pay-per-view? If you legit want to ask that question, I have no problem with that. Because here's where it gets so interesting. You bring up that question, right? And if you're the bookers, you're going, okay, you've done this. Now, how are you going to top it? What are you going to do for your next show? What are you going to do going into your pay-per-view? What are you going to do at your pay-per-view? How are you going to compensate for pulling the trigger over here with this move that you're about to do? So, it's a double-edged sword when you look at it, because when you look at that Danielson-Suzuki match, you can have the argument, okay, why was this being wasted on YouTube? Why wasn't this put on the actual Rampage card for TNT, really help bring in the numbers and all of that? Or you can look at this another way and say, nah, you know what? This was a pretty damn slick-ass move on Tony Khan and them's part, and having this match be on the buy-in, because essentially what they did with this buy-in, making it... Now, look, if you ask me straight up, smart move. If you're asking me just in today's digital age, this digital turn that I had talked about during the Awesome Con panel, hopefully you guys had checked that out, I felt that it was a smart move on Tony Khan and them's part, because just think about it for a second. We are always, as a society, on the go. But the one thing that we always have with us is our cell phone. If our cell phone isn't with us, we got some form of a tablet that's with us. And 9 times out of 10, oh baby, we got apps on those respected devices. Practically everybody, even your grandma, got the YouTube app. Straight up, got the YouTube app. So you stop and think about that, and then here's the other part. You don't need to be logged into YouTube to watch videos. You only need to be logged into YouTube when maybe you're trying to access a custom playlist, or you're trying to comment on the uploader's content, the video uploader's content. You're trying to engage with their community, things of that nature. That's the only time you need to be worried about signing in to the account, right? So the fact that, okay, YouTube, and then you can tap into YouTube anytime, any place, anywhere. I mean, that's a lot more reach than, okay, now we're going to put this match particularly on TNT. And sure, don't get it wrong, folks. TNT is available in so many households. It is. Last I had checked, TNT is available in about, God, what is it? Is it now like 55? Maybe like 60 million households or some shit like that. I'm trying to think of like the exact ballpark number, but they got some serious reach. Okay. But when you start factoring it, no, I think it's even higher than that. I actually think it's like 80 something million as far as households that subscribe to TNT. I think it's in that range. I think it's like almost close to 100 million, but don't quote me on that. But I'm pretty sure it's a lot higher than what I put out there before. But that's not the point. TNT, sadly, that's a case where just imagine you're on the go. You hear about this Danielson Suzuki match. It's on TNT. Well, shit, what if you're on the go? What if you're running around somewhere, you're doing errands or something like that? Okay, so what are you supposed to do? How are you going to go about accessing it? It's not as clear cut as, say, a YouTube TV. You can log in and, boom, that way. I know we got, what is it, direct TV stream now or whatever. You got some of those joints. But I thought that the way that AEW had went about this, I couldn't help but say, nah, you know what? Kudos to them. That was actually a pretty smart move, having it be available on YouTube, making everybody flock and everything. Also, here's the other main point we got to mention to this. A very smart marketing ploy to get people to switch from SmackDown, which was on FS1, anyway, right? Smart ass move. I mean, either way, smart move, badass matchup that we got. Badass matchup, excellent flow. I, for one, would love to see these guys lock up again, let it go down at a pay-per-view. Man, the way they were just chopping the shit out of each other, I loved it. I loved it. Suzuki and those forearm strikes to the face. Oh my God. Oh my God. You literally were feeling as though Danielson was in some serious trouble. You just couldn't help but say, hopefully he did not get hit for real, because man, if he did, he need to be chilling for a couple of weeks, yo. But damn good matchup. Damn good matchup. I got to give them their flowers. That was a excellent banger of a matchup. And then pretty much, and what, those guys went about at least 25 minutes pretty much to close out the buy-in. Good shit. And then how do you follow that up? You follow that up with CM Punk and Matt Sydal, a commercial-free matchup to kick off officially Rampage on TNT. I love hearing context. I love context because getting context adds more layers to the subject at hand. It adds more to the story. And I appreciated the hell out of hearing the commentators mention how many times CM Punk, Matt Sydal locked up, talking about the very first time that they locked up, how long it's been since the last time they had a match together. I loved hearing all of that great stuff. CM Punk, look, I'm a big of a CM Punk fan as the next person. CM Punk, a couple of points during that match, he looked a little bit winded. He looked as though he was, trying to do his best to keep up there with Matt Sydal, and he just kind of needed a minute to, catch his breath. But, other than that, CM Punk is just one piece at a time. As I mentioned in my review, he is on this reintroduction of CM Punk. That's what he's doing right now. He is on the reintroduction of CM Punk tour. And I'm loving it right now. I was saying to my wife while we were watching this match, I said, man, look at that gray in his beard. And she's like, yeah, he's kind of aged on us there. I said, yeah, it just creeped up there, unless he was doing Just for Men hair dye or whatever. But now I actually like the gray. I don't know about you guys. I actually like seeing the gray in his beard. You know, it gives him that gritty. You know, this is a guy that has gone through some serious shit. You know, he's been through some trials. You know, he's had his tribulations, and you know, he just comes off like this grizzled old vet. You know, that is, you know, if you want to maybe go the goddamn Batman route, you know, Frank Miller there, you want to maybe kind of go that route and everything. That's cool. I'm liking the grizzled CM Punk there. This was a banger classic between both of these men. You know, Sydal really. Let me tell you something about Matt Sydal. Let me tell you something about him. I've always felt, in regards to Matt Sydal, that is a guy that should have been a world heavyweight champion. Take that how you want it. Whether that means WWE, hell, for Impact. I mean, you fill in the blank. I'm just saying, me personally, I always felt Matt Sydal had all the tools and then some in the world to be a world heavyweight champion. And that match that he had against Punk on Friday night, you know, I mean, look, he's had a few since he's been in AEW, but like, if you were, let's be honest, if we all were to ask ourselves right now, okay, top 5 since Sydal's been in AEW, go. None of us would be able. Kudos if you can. I mean, you must have that Rain Man mentality, and you just got a good memory for, right? That ain't no knock. That's a serious compliment. But I know I couldn't. I couldn't name 5. I couldn't even name 1 until now. And that's the joint with CM Punk. Again, I'm talking about in AEW, since he's been in AEW. You know, it's just matches like that that just reminds you, yeah, that young man, pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. And you know, I hope that before he hangs it up, I would love to just get an idea what it would be like to see him as a world champion. I don't know if that's going to come, you know, courtesy of AEW or what. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. You know, I can't predict the future. But him and CM Punk really tearing it up there with that classic banger of a matchup. So CM Punk even having a classic one there himself. And CM Punk now 4-0 since he's been in AEW. And, you know, besides CM Punk reestablishing himself, I also love the fact that CM Punk, true to his word, been locking it up with fresh new stars. You know, I'm loving these, well, with the exception of Sydal, but you kind of get what I'm talking about, you know? I like seeing him lock up here with these guys. I do. It's very refreshing. It's very exciting. You know, it's a whole new layer. And, you know, you see what I was talking about from a couple of weeks ago when I was mentioning CM Punk and Rampage. If you missed it, I said in a nutshell that it would appear that Tony Khan and crew at this point feel very, very comfortable mainly relying on CM Punk to do his thing on Rampage. And essentially, maybe that's kind of their way of trying to help, you know, fluff those numbers for Rampage, so to speak. And I think it's a smart move what they're doing by having CM Punk be on Rampage, letting him essentially be that dangling carrot to, hey, you got to watch Rampage, because it's a very smart move, especially if you are a big CM Punk fan. I think it is a smart move. And if I could pass along any words of encouragement to Tony Khan and crew in AEW, it would be keep doing that with CM Punk. Switch it up however you want to do it, whether it's having him do matches, having him do color commentating on Rampage. Continue doing that. Just that. Just as long as he continues to be that carrot you're dangling for Rampage, make him be one of many good incentives for checking out Rampage. I think it's excellent. I think it is excellent. You know, it just reminds you of, because stop and think about it for a second. I know many of you guys remember Velocity, Sunday Night Heat, Main Event. You know, I know you guys remember a lot of those shows. And when you really stop and you think about those shows, all of those shows, what they all have in common when you really stop and think about it, is the fact that these shows, you know, these were true definitions of throwaway shows. If you did not watch these shows, you were going to sleep just fine because you didn't miss a goddamn thing. There was nothing imperative. There was nothing that was, oh my God, you gotta watch this, because, you know, these were not companion pieces in no shape or form to the Raw, to the SmackDowns, you know, nothing. Oh, you think maybe a storyline that was first introduced on Monday Night Raw is gonna leak on over, is gonna make its way over to the Velocity show or the Sunday Night Heat show? No. Granted, you get your little recap of, okay, hey, this is what went down on Raw. This is what went down on SmackDown. But as far as, oh yeah, Triple H is going to talk next on Sunday Night, Stone Cold's going to talk next on Velocity. So, you know, I like how Khan and crew are going about things with the Rampage here. I really do. That's not me just, I've always told you guys, I will give constructive criticism and praise when it's due. These are some of the things that I like that's been going on so far. And that's good. So you got the whole reintroduction of Punk, and then you got him constantly as that main selling point, one of a few main selling points to check out Rampage every single Friday night. Keep it up. Ruby Soho taking on the Bunny. You know, 9 minutes, just about 9 minutes, decent little match. And honestly, I'll give her flowers as well. One of Bunny's better efforts. One of her better matches. I honestly would have to say. I've been watching Bunny for a long time. Allie, I've been watching her a long time. Pretty much since her Impact Wrestling days. And as far as her in-ring work, especially when I think about the Impact days, pretty rough. But I got to give her props. I sincerely do. This is a woman that obviously gives a damn about what she does in that ring. You know, you can tell when somebody, okay, you know, I know I'm a little bit rough in some areas, but I can be better. And I'm not just going to settle on where I'm at right now. I'm going to get better. Just watch. Don't believe me, just watch. And that's exactly what Bunny has been doing. I got to give her props. She has gotten tons better. You know, a couple of miscalculations here and there. You know, a couple of little hiccups here and there. But, you know, overall, she's coming along. And what she did here with Ruby Soho for the about 9 minutes that they went at it here, I thought they clicked extremely well together. And, you know, that's the thing that I also love about Bunny as well. You know, it's taken her a good minute to grow on me. It really has, because I remember a time where, you know, the character was just kind of bland. And we kind of got a little bit of a tail end of it when we first saw her in AEW, but then you started seeing this kind of bunny persona start to come out a little bit, and then she starts wearing the nice, cool black outfits, nice little bunny ears and all that stuff. But she's got the way that she's morphing this character of hers. She's almost going down a Rob Zombie's wife, Sharon Os. No, not Sharon Osbourne. Oh God, Rob Zombie's wife is who I'm thinking of. I'm trying to think of her name right now. It fucking escapes me. Um, Rob Zombie's current wife. God. Y'all know exactly who I'm talking about too. But she's starting to kind of morph into that a little bit. Sharon Moon Zombie. I know I was thinking it right. I was thinking Sharon, but for some reason Osborne came out. I'm like, no, that's not Sharon Zombie. Sharon Zombie is who I was thinking of. I like how she's kind of morphing into this psychopathic, version of Sherry Zombie. I'm digging it. I'm fucking digging it. I want more of it. I'm fucking loving it. By the way, how old I feel, because Rob Zombie's like just a couple of years away from 60. And I'm just thinking back to like how long I've been growing up on Rob Zombie's music and all that. And it's like that's hard to just wrap your brain around sometimes. Like, anyway, I digress. But yeah, she's coming along. I got to give her props. She's coming along. Good little dance partner there. And Ruby Soho. Post match, Ruby Soho getting a vicious beat down there by Penelope Ford, as Penelope Ford and the Bunny ganged up there on our girl. That was kind of interesting. Yeah, that was kind of interesting how they ganged up on her. Once again, those damn brass knuckles coming into play. I just can't help but wonder, because obviously you gotta even up the odds here. So who is going to be Ruby Soho's tag partner? I wonder. Who's it gonna be? Yeah, just kind of looking at the landscape. I can't help but wonder if maybe, me personally, put Red Velvet in there. Go ahead, put Red Velvet in there. That would be nice. I would love to see Red Velvet. I love me some Red Velvet. Red Velvet's been off my TV for a good minute now, but we did see her on Dynamite tonight. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a hot second, but I'm just kind of looking at the rest of the women's roster right now, thinking about, okay, where could we possibly go? Another direction that you can go, especially after tonight, because I think now she is 2-4. 2 wins, 4 defeats, or it actually might be 2-5. What about Kiera Hogan? That's another route that you could possibly go. Maybe pair her up with Ruby Soho. But the fucking damn brass knuckles is like, just stop it already. We gotta fucking stop the bloodshed already. Inner Circles, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Jake Hager taking on Dos Santos, Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky, the Men of the Year. That pretty much had closed out your episode of Rampage. Top team, Men of the Year, pretty much going over. Just at about the 12-minute mark. Okay, main event match. Santos, because he was the main one that I was focusing on. He seemed to click pretty well with Jericho and Hager for the little bit of time that he was in the ring with them, especially with Hager, as what kind of was starting off as semi of a wrestling match soon turned into a straight up MMA shoot style type of fight. The way they were rumbling in there, so I dug that. I thought that was pretty solid. You can tell that he could still use some work in a few areas, but yeah, and look, not for nothing. I mean, look, this ain't no Cain Velasquez, okay? Let's be crystal clear here, because if we gotta do some type of a gauge, and we're gonna maybe go with Cain Velasquez for Dos Santos. If I'm thinking about it, why is the TV loud? That was weird. Okay, that was weird. I just heard like the loudest commercial play in the bedroom just now. That was kind of very weird. But anyway, yeah, Junior Dos Santos. Look, he ain't no Cain Velasquez now. Okay, we all know that Cain Velasquez. That's pretty rough to watch. Okay, that's pretty that's pretty rough to watch. No, he's a lot more promising than Cain Velasquez. I personally feel. Obviously Green, still in a few areas, give or take. If I had some type of advice for Tony Khan and them, honestly, look, you can't do everybody like Brock Lesnar. You can't have everybody just the Brock Lesnar treatment. You can't do that. But for Junior Dos Santos, man, I would just this guy what? Like 30 matches total, 21 wins, 15 knockouts. I mean, I know my UFC, I know my MMA, and I've seen enough of this guy from over the years. First off, I think it's very admirable. I think it's badass of him doing the whole transition into pro wrestling and everything because, pretty much, really, this calendar year alone is when he pretty much made the transition into pro wrestling. But with such a decorated career in MMA, and then just thinking about everything involving him there in the UFC. I mean, this guy's been involved in UFC since the what is it, mid almost late 2000s. There, if I was Tony Khan in them, and I'm not, but if they want to pick the brains of the fans and everything like that, man, just have that motherfucker go in there and just MMA style. We don't need to see him fucking do a shooting star press or, arm drag take. We don't need to see him do all that shit. Just have him go in there. And honestly, look, not for nothing, but the blueprint that they essentially had laid out for him in that main event tag match, I thought that was good. I particularly every time him and Hager were brawling, oh, I was eating that up. I wanted more of that. I love seeing Dos Santos go through the timekeeper's table because Hager had put him through it. I love seeing all of that stuff, right? The blueprint that they laid out, that was pretty good. They should just keep it going. And quite honestly, I'm just thinking a little bit further down the road, looking into the crystal ball, I personally would not even mind if Hager and Santos were to lock up and in an AEW ring and actually have a legit MMA joint. I would love to see them legit have a MMA fight. If there's anybody that could fucking pull it off, Tony Khan could fucking do it. He could definitely fucking do it. I would love to see them just beat the living shit out of each other, right? And here's the beautiful thing when you think about AEW too, and not for nothing, we've seen Tony Khan go the MMA route before. Remember? Shout out if you remember. That's a good trivia question too. Remember, I can just picture you guys doing your homework right now, trying to figure out what match I'm talking about, who the opponents were. But like Tony Khan has already done a MMA fight before, but if they were to go down that route again, I would definitely welcome it. I think most fans will welcome it because you got this nice, good cross reference thing that's going on there with I was going to say Top Flight, but America's Top Team, Dan Lambert and, all of that shit that you got going on, Paige Van Zant and just all that shit, all that awesome shit that you got going on there. Yeah. And then also you're playing into your audience. You're playing into your demographics by essentially mixing the two and everything, mixing the pro wrestling with the mixed martial arts and the boxing. It's great. It's a fucking great combination there. But nice little main event match. Good little episode of Rampage there. Now I do see the numbers that's running around right now. Again, we're going to be talking about SmackDown on Monday's show and everything, but I do see what went down there for the ratings numbers and everything. Now let's start with how Rampage did with the buy-in on YouTube. So that show overall received 524,000. Again, 524,000 views since it aired on Friday night. That's pretty damn good. Now, for those of you that want to get a closer number, as far as like, where are they right now? As you're live right now, Lee, where's those numbers now? Okay, well, let's see. Let's see where those numbers are now. Let's see. AEW buy-in. Here we go. Right now, as of Sunday morning, so very good morning to you all on the East Coast. Sunday morning of October 17th, 2021, 4 minutes before 12:30 a.m. on the East Coast, they are at 727,000 views. Again, 727,000 views. That's pretty damn good. And I would not be surprised if by the time we got to Monday's show, I would not be surprised if they were a little bit, just slightly over 1 million. I would not be surprised at that. So very good. That means that so far, and it's continuing to be the most viewed AEW related content video for the promotion so far this week. So, I mean, that's phenomenal. That is phenomenal. What I particularly would have loved to seen, kind of similar to Twitch, I would have loved to seen, okay, so when this match came on particularly, how many views, increase-wise, what was the number? By how much did it go up during this match? Okay, and then when that match was over, was there a decline? Did it continue to go up? I would love to know. Usually you can see stuff like that when it comes to Twitch. And I remember there used to be a time, it just stopped. But there used to be a time where when it came to episodes of Impact Wrestling and you were watching the Twitch stream of Impact, oh man, you used to be able to see how many people were watching during certain segments and pretty much go off of that. I think next time I'll definitely, when I see AEW is doing something similar to what I'm suggesting, I will definitely be that person to make notes of, okay, this is where the viewership is when this is going on. Okay, and now I'll make those notes because I like that trivial type of shit. I do, because I'm most curious to know what was the most, of all the matches, all the segments, what was the one that really had and lured in? You would like to believe that it was definitely the Danielson Suzuki joint. But a good episode of Rampage, the buy-in, everything. Now, I did ask you guys, even though, again, I didn't watch SmackDown yet, I did poll you guys on YouTube and on Twitter, because I have these polls that's up. I want to share with you guys the results right now. By the way, you guys been with me up to this point. You having yourself a good old time so far. If you haven't done so already, make sure you smash that like button. When you do that, really helps. Big old domino effect. Really helps spread the word about our content, especially as far as channel recommendations go and everything. I see we're so close to cracking 12,000 subs. We're extremely close. So, definitely hit that subscribe. Best part, when you hit that subscribe button and I happen to be on the air when you're hitting it, I actually will acknowledge you. There's a nice little graphic that pops up, nice little cool text, little sound effect, all that good stuff. So you're forever enshrined in subscription history there, all that good jazz. I polled you guys, and I didn't forget the ratings, by the way. We're still talking numbers and all that, but check this out. I asked you guys, how would you rate? We're looking at Twitter, by the way. How would you rate this week's AEW Rampage on TNT minus the buy-in show? 17% of you gave it a thumbs down, while 83% of you gave it a thumbs up. Now, separate poll. I asked you guys, what did you think about the Rampage buy-in? 6% of you thumbs down, 94% thumbs up. Very interesting. Very interesting. We'll skip the SmackDown poll because we'll talk about that on Monday. However, I did ask you guys one question, which was, and let me see if I can actually bring that back. No, it wasn't that one. Okay, so there was one poll I had there. It looks like it was a YouTube exclusive poll, and I'll let you guys know about that in a hot second. I'm just making sure. Yeah, it's not on Twitter. So there was one poll that was exclusive to YouTube, and I'm actually there now. You can see all these polls. There's like about 3 polls I put up on the communities tab at YouTube, and I kept telling you guys, hey, check out the previous post because there's some polling results there. The one exclusive YouTube poll, I asked you guys who had the better show this week, sound off. So between SmackDown and Rampage, I wanted to know from you guys, and I only went with those two. For those of you that's like, well, what about Dynamite? I only went with those two because obviously Rampage, SmackDown were pretty much competing with each other on Friday night. So that's why I just kept it exclusively to those two. 40% of you said SmackDown had the better show, while 60% of you felt that Rampage had the better show. That's the very first poll that you see on the communities tab on YouTube. Now, in regards to, again, we're with YouTube from here on out, continuing on here with YouTube. I asked you guys, how would you rate this week's Rampage show, including the buy-in? 9% of you, thumbs down. 91% of you, thumbs up. Very similar to what we just talked about on Twitter not that long ago. Let's see. Did I put one more poll up, or that was it? And that was it. So, yeah, so I kind of simplified it a little bit more on YouTube there. So I'll follow up more with what you guys are saying on Monday's show in regards to SmackDown, and we'll go. Okay, so yeah, who in fact did have the better show? We'll talk a little bit more about that on Monday's show. I promise you guys. All right, so Rampage, that's in the books. Now we get to talk about Dynamite. Good show of Dynamite tonight. I would have to say. And one thing before I continue on, let me just peek my head here. I just want to make sure that the stream quality is on point, and it's actually good. No issues so far, because we had some technical issues. What was it, last week, wasn't it, guys? Yeah, we had some technical issues last week. First off, the commentators. I love the fact that we got CM Punk on commentating for Dynamite this week. He was with Tony Schiavone, Jim Ross, Excalibur. I thought that was pretty solid. Multiple times, Tony Schiavone wasn't at the desk because he was backstage, and it just seemed like every single time you turned around, Tony Schiavone backstage, some type of brawl was going about. And, after a while, I tell you the brawl that really had me laughing big time. It was, I think, the last brawl that Schiavone had tonight, where he was interviewing Serena Deeb, And I want to say, I'm trying to think who it was that fucking, I think it was Sheeta that jumped on Serena Deeb. I could be wrong, but it looked, sure as hell looked like it was her. Sure as hell looked like it was her. And they just start beating the crap out of each other. And at this point, I think this was maybe the third time tonight that Shivani was involved in a brawl. And you just see Shivani, he just throws up his arms and he just kind of slides his robotic self off the camera. And anybody that is a Dave Chappelle fan, if you remember Chappelle's show, you remember the black guy, like almost in every single skit, there was like this black guy that was doing some type of a robotic dance. I mean, every time you see this guy, you just used to bust up laughing. Shivani just had that look on his face, the way he just glided himself off the fucking screen. And you're just watching. You got to go back and play it in slow motion. That shit was just hilarious there. And I like how CM Punk and crew, they're like, something about backstage, Shivani is like, it's not safe. It's like, you're better out here with the seats. Like, there's no drama going on over here with the seats. You know, we got the best seats in the house over here. So just food for thought. I just had to mention that up front because I just thought, especially we were talking about the commentators, because that was just hilarious. I personally felt CM Punk on commentating, love it. It's a great addition. Honestly, it's a great addition. I love the fact that if we don't get CM Punk, then we get Ricky Starks, who's coming into his own on color commentating. Let's be for real. He is starting to come into his own. And I think the more repetition, the better that, he can, but he's gelling. He's gelling pretty good with the guys when he is doing the color commentating and everything. And remember, Ricky Starks, we normally hear on Rampage, but he's another one that, we got to give him his props. He's coming along as well. I'm sure he would admit, obviously there's still a lot to learn. It's not quite the same as what you're doing in the ring and everything, but he's brother's coming along, and I like what I'm hearing of him. Jericho, sometimes we get Jericho. So I mean, I like how we're doing this continuing series of special guest commentators on Rampage and Dynamite. I love it. More, please. Keep it coming is all I have to say. Seriously, I love that. So, Miami, Florida, you're out here for Dynamite. Nice, good, white house crowd. Great infectious crowd. I got to say, the energy that they were bringing for these past two shows, loved it. Loved it. When you get a nice, good white house crowd like that, they really help make the show magical. They help make the show badass. Malakai Black taking on Dante Martin. Man, the way I pictured this match playing out in my mind when I first heard that these guys were going to be locking up, I'm going, this is going to be an instant classic. It's going to be an instant classic. And you know what? It did not disappoint whatsoever. It did not disappoint whatsoever. I knew this match was not going to be a squash match. I knew this was going to be very competitive, especially from the standpoint of how complimentary, a lot of us podcasters were of the work of Dante Martin that we've seen in recent weeks, and how, hey, give this young brother some more opportunities here, as far as being a homegrown, original AEW superstar. You definitely got something here with this Dante Martin. Put him more on Dynamite and Rampage. Elevate that guy. I love the fact that they put him in this spot here with Malakai Black. And the way these guys were just going in here, beating the living crap out of each other. I was eating this up. Now, look, I never did believe that Martin was going to win this. But, I mean, as far as, I won't say taking Black to his limit, but definitely proving to be a formidable foe for Black. I love the way that this was laid out. I really, really love the way this was laid out. It kind of gave, and I'm wondering how many other people kind of had that same vibe too, that know their pro wrestling and all, from various promotions. But it kind of gave me that Jeff Hardy Undertaker for the hardcore championship vibe. It did. Even just the little things at the end. And I can't wait to hear Malakai Black's Twitch stream, because I'm wondering if he was somehow influenced at all by that match I'm talking about. Because even at the end, once Black beat that ass, he's holding on to his ribs and he's just huffing and puffing. He's trying to get his wind back. He's getting out of that ring, and he just stops at the middle of the ramp, and he just hits that Undertaker pose where he looks over his shoulder, and the cameraman almost misses it, but him and Dante Martin, they just lock eyes on each other, and Malakai Black just gives him a head nod like, "You all right, kid?" I mean, even that little thing like that, just shades of the Undertaker Jeff Hardy vibe. I mean, everybody knows, how monumental of a match and a historic milestone in the career of Jeff Hardy that match was, already well beloved and everything. But as far as making that claim, hey, I got what it takes to eventually be a single superstar, don't believe me, just watch. And then him having that memorable match with Undertaker. That's what I kind of felt like what I watched tonight with Dante Martin and Malakai Black here. And I tell you what, one other thing I want to say in regards to Malakai Black is just continuing to prove week in, week out, why WWE totally fucking dropped the ball with him. Seriously. To hear that a lot of this stuff that's been, going on with him in AEW, I mean, this is pretty much all him. He's running everything by Tony Khan, and Khan's pretty much, let's do it, bud. And, maybe Khan's throwing one little suggestion here, one little suggestion there. But, this is all pretty much Black. You just can't help but shake your head and go, the fuck were those guys thinking? Oh, they weren't thinking at all. Yeah, that's what it was. They weren't thinking at all. From there, Jurassic Express, they talked about being banged up. But then the Elite shows up, and they were being interviewed by Tony Schiavone. But then the Elite shows up. They beat them down. And, you see Tony Schiavone do his first little robot slide off the fucking camera while you got your first beat down there. From there, Inner Circle, the full Inner Circle, including Santana and Ortiz, the full Inner Circle, they're back. These guys are fresh off of the defeat they took at the hands of ATT, Men of the Year, from Rampage. Great fucking ovation Inner Circle had received. They weren't able to celebrate that long, as Dan Lambert and crew, they came on out there bragging about their MMA success. Jericho tells Dan Lambert to shut his fat-faced dipshit ass up. So fans started chanting fat-faced dipshit. Put that on the t-shirt, why don't you? Jericho then homes in on Paige Van Zandt. This was probably one of the most hilarious portions of the night here, where he says to her, "You got a thing for me? You got a thing for the guys here in Inner Circle? Because every time we turn around, you are always there. Like, what's going on here exactly?" He says something along the lines of, look, you trying to slide into my DMs? Well, even if you were trying to slide into my DMs, I wouldn't even touch you. Hell, I wouldn't even touch you with your husband's genitalia. Uh, you got CM Punk. He just very quickly, Punk just gets on top of that and goes, "I don't believe him." You're like, I love that. That was freaking hilarious. And I gotta tell you, whenever you got Punk out there on commentating, I love his timing, man, especially the comedic timing. He is just, I mean, he is lightning there. He is, you could tell when something is rehearsed and when it is just free spirited, just whatever comes to mind that fits that moment. And Punk is just always money, 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 money. But wait, it gets better. Just when we thought Jericho was done right there insulting Paige Van Zant, he also gets on her and says, well, he doesn't get on her physically, but figuratively speaking, of course, he says to her, "Hey, I see you're always doing the Instagram." And she's like nodding her head, kind of like, "Yeah, what about it?" And Jericho says something along the lines of, "Yeah, you take some really nice, good pictures and everything. What kind of filter do you use? Is it Juno? Is it see, I gotta do the Instagram now. I gotta go on the Instagram, and I'm just gonna pretend I'm gonna post a fucking photo here real quick. Okay. So he goes, "Is it Juno? Is it Clarendon? Is it Bimbo? Is it bitch?" And the fans just erupted on that one. That was just fucking it, in Paige Van Zant. Like, she had nothing. There was no fucking comeback. All she could do was just do the hand gesture. "Oh, you're boring me to sleep," or whatever. I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, nah, Jericho got the best of you, hon. Like, remember, this is the same guy that brought us. Uh, I'm trying to think if I can even remember that. Uh, Trash bag, bottom feeding hoe, whatever he used to call Stephanie McMahon. Yeah, this is the same guy that brought us those fucking memorable lines. So yeah, like he has proven that he will fucking go there on on the women. He has proven that. Dan Lambert had a nice little comeback of his own as he was trying to cut down Inner Circle. I love the joke that he made there of Jake Hager. He said something along the lines of, "Damn, son, your head is big as shit. When you put your shirts on, you sure your head goes in first?" Something along those lines. And Hager was loving it because, he just started busting up laughing. So good shit. All around, that was good. I love just, I really hope that people did not miss this, though, and have not been missing this. But since Dan Lambert has been involved with professional wrestling on a much grander scale, because this is the real travesty, especially for newcomers, new fans of Dan Lambert, this in-ring wrestling persona particularly, this is pretty much what we got a taste of when he was doing this thing in Impact Wrestling. And for whatever respected reason, your guess is as good as mine, but for whatever respected reason, Lambert didn't go, further along, as far as, like, building up that, manager career, if you will, with Impact. For whatever respected reason, it just, shout out to anybody that's maybe able to get an interview with him. I think that's a really good question to ask him, which is, hey, we saw you there doing your thing with Impact. So it's not like we haven't seen you as some type of in-ring character before in the world of pro wrestling, but it just seemed like right when things was starting to build up, you just disappeared. What happened? Impact wasn't interested? Was there some type of creative clashing? What was going on at that point? I'm very curious to know. Now, I'm trying to think if when Dan Lambert was involved, I'm trying to think if Ed Nordholm, Anthem Entertainment, I'm trying to think if they were in the picture around that time. And my memory is kind of fuzzy. I kind of want to say Not quite, but I'm not definitively sure. But I think that's a really good question to ask him. But yeah, they were going back and forth, having a good old time with each other on the microphone. And the point that I was trying to make earlier is just imagine if Dan Lambert would have just gotten involved with pro wrestling 20 years ago. He's got everything it takes to be up there with a Bobby the Brain Heenan, with a Paul Heyman, with a Jim Cornette. This guy is definitely a student of the game, and you learn a lot about that if you pay attention to when he does give interviews, and you learn a little bit more about just how much respect, love, and admiration he has for the wrestling industry. He is one of its biggest fans. Really, I hope you guys are appreciating his work. That's all I'm saying. Just I hope you're really appreciating his work. And if he's touching all those good points, working y'all's nerves and getting you upset, and he's doing his job right. He is doing his job right. And what he was able to, what's the word? Maybe elicit from the fans in Miami tonight. That's the proof in the pudding right there. So Inner Circle put out a challenge there to ATT, letting them know, hey, Inner Circle is back in full effect. We got a full stable here. Let's do a 5-on-5 tag match. We'll whoop y'all's ass. Dan Lambert, on the other hand, he's like, yeah, you know what? We'd kick your ass every day of the week, but ultimately it's not up to us. By the way, none of you guys have championships except for Sammy Guevara, and I forgot what he called Sammy, but he called, I don't know what he called. I don't know if he called him Little Ricky or what, but he pretty much says to him, yeah, kid, you're the one that's got all the stroke. You got the championship, so you got the stroke right now. You need to make it happen after you agree to our terms. Sammy pretty much tells him, look, anytime he's ready to fight, it is what it is. Name the time, name the place. I'll kick all y'all's asses. Dan Lambert reveals, though, that apparently as far as like what's the terms, how's all that going to go down, they pretty much are going to get more into it on next week's Dynamite, because they weren't feeling the Miami crowd. They don't like the fact that they're no longer getting love from their hometown, so they pretty much said, screw it. AAA Tag Team Titles match up as Lucha Brothers took on Los Super Ranas. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. That basically means the Super Frogs. Basically, this was FTR, and I just love how within 75 seconds, CM Punk is like, I don't know if the Lucha Brothers care, but that's clearly FTR. And we're like, damn, Punk. Well, at least y'all ain't insulting the fans' intelligence. Like, oh, okay, we're going right for the juggler here. And sure enough, Phoenix, Pentagon, they're going for the mask early on. Eventually, they get the mask off. Turns out it is FTR. You're going, okay, all right. But they had a missed opportunity here, and I actually have images. So sorry for you guys that are going to be listening to the audio version of this show. Even more the reason why you should check out the webcast version of the show. Let's see. Let's load this up. Oh, wait. Let's load this image up, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So this is what they wore. This is what FTR, a.k.a. the Super Frogs, this is what they wore tonight. And, for me personally, look, I dig it. I fucking dig it. But here's the thing. They missed out on a grand opportunity. I'm talking about Tony Khan and crew, because does anybody else remember the infamous interview that FTR had gave to Jim Cornette? And they basically had confirmed the rumors that were floating around about them being repackaged in the WWE, and supposedly the the concept designs that were floating around out there for their costumes and all that. Was it a Shatter Machine or some shit like that? Something involving a big ass wannabe Flavor Flav clock and all that other stupid silliness that was going on. Like, you missed out on look, nice end result right here. But yo, this would have been better. This would have been better, yeah? But then you wouldn't have had the same effect. You wouldn't have had the same effect as this. But it was just kind of one of those missed opportunity moments right there. But, hey, it is what it is, right? Closing moments of this matchup, Tully Blanchard, who also happened to be matching his brothers there in green. He comes out there causing a distraction that pretty much allowed Hardwood to belt Phoenix out of the air, as Phoenix was looking for a top rope maneuver. High risk, high reward. Well, he paid big time as he got met with a belt to the face. Brainbuster followed up afterwards, and that pretty much gave Hardwood the pin and those AAA tag titles. So we actually have new AAA tag team champions there in FTR. Yeah. The match, look, again, that whole frog stuff, that was really weird. Especially considering, what all we heard from FTR. That was just so, like, what the fuck? So 180, right? FTR getting the titles, that was a nice little surprise title change. I will definitely be honest with that. Nice to see FTR get some gold, quite honestly. And the fact that it's the AAA tag titles, that definitely means we're going to be seeing some future cross-promoting going on there between AAA, AEW. And then, look, not for nothing, let's not forget, not that long ago, Kenny Omega was down there in AAA, and he was doing his thing against Andrade. And, and that was pretty phenomenal and all that. So I'm very curious to see where exactly this is going to go, because, one other thing that I'm thinking about right now, and you know what, for me personally, I hope that eventually it does happen. But there's one particular tag team I would love to see FTR face. And that would be La Rebellion. I would love to see La Rebellion face FTR. Give me that matchup. That would be, or I'll go a step further. I will go a step further. Give me La Rebellion versus FTR versus Santino and Ortiz. We could leave it right there, or if you want to add one more tag team into the mix, give me them boys. Give me them Briscoes. Give me them Briscoes. I love the Briscoes. You can definitely give me those guys. But yeah, that's as I mentioned earlier, seeing Kenny Omega down there in AAA, that was pretty badass. So, to see FTR with the AAA tag titles, yeah, I'm definitely down. I am so definitely down with this. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with this. Obviously something's going to be happening with them in AAA, and I've got no problem watching AAA. I love this. If it means, it's one thing to, in this day and age especially, it's one thing to say, hey, you got to check out this promotion. It's kind of like, but when you say, oh no, you got to check out this promotion because these guys, that's from this other promotion, okay, now we're talking about a promotion I just happen to check out on a regular basis, are going to be crossing over here, then it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I definitely got to. And look, not for nothing, I enjoyed what I had saw from, what was that, Triple Mania 29, was it? I think it was Triple Mania 29 that just went past. Yeah, I actually had enjoyed what I had saw for the most part. So I definitely am very receptive to catching up, seeing what I've been missing, getting myself ready for the next AEW AAA crossover. Yeah, good stuff right there. The match itself here tonight, though, you know, average at most. Average at most. Lio Rush is backstage with Tony Schiavone, and I'm ready for him to do the robot joint, just slide off the camera again. Nothing happens this go round, but Lio Rush basically chews into Dante Martin in a very firm, but I would say firm, but very ego-ish. Ego-ish is the right word I want to go with here. As Lio Rush says, Dante Martin failed in getting the victory over Malakai Black because, he basically screwed up. Dante Martin screwed up. And that if Martin wants to be successful, all he's got to do is listen to Lio Rush, because only thing Lio Rush is trying to help Dante Martin do is get paid. And he mentions that from this point tonight going forward, they're tag partners. Martin does not look that convinced, and he kind of doesn't look that pleased. So I like that there isn't friction yet, but you can obviously, okay, we're going to get to that point. And then it's kind of one of those, okay, so Dante Martin, Lio Rush, that's pretty much where we're going with this. I'd be okay with that. So as long as this happens, and we got to keep up with continuity here. So as long as this happens, as long as we can be in a really good position where somewhere down the line, Dante Martin bumps into Malakai Black, it could be backstage, whatever. I would just love to hear Malakai Black say to Dante something along the lines of, really? And Dante's like, what? You're going to listen to Lio? You're going to put your fate in the hands of that man? After you went through Pandora's box, or after you crossed my bridge, and we had the match that we had, I would just love to see Malakai Black be the one. That head nod that he did, I keep going back to that, and it's just kind of one of those, all right, this guy not only gave you respect, you essentially earned his respect. And that's something we've never seen from the Malakai Black character since he's been in AEW thus far. So, it's kind of one of those, wake up, kid. You don't need Lio Rush. I just can't help but say, if there's some type of a cool way where Malakai Black is not spending 2 minutes talking to Dante, just 15 seconds in and out, just to move something along, basically. That would be the ultimate payoff, I personally feel. And if you're asking me straight up, how long until maybe we get to that point, Lee? Honestly, if Tony Khan and them want to do this whole thing with Lio Rush and Dante Martin for the next 2, maybe 3 months, have at it. As long as we somehow work that in there, I'd be fine. I'd be fine with that. Lio Rush, Dante Martin, I guess maybe that's supposed to be a eventual program. Because I can't help but go, again, speaking from earlier, okay, 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 90 days from now, where are we going with this? Is he going to wrestle? Last go round it was, I'm retired. correct me if I'm wrong, Lio Rush has retired twice now. So I wouldn't be surprised if you even said to me, "Nah, Lee, he's retired 3 times now." So it's kind of all right. So is he really retired this go round? He's just going to be an in-ring competitor, or I got to be honest with you guys, and this is what I get when I don't really watch enough episodes of Dark and Dark Elevation, but to my knowledge, I could be wrong on this, and I'm actually going to look at the card right now because I don't want to give you guys the wrong information. But to my knowledge, Lio Rush hasn't even wrestled yet for AEW since he's come back recent. But let me just check because I could be wrong. I want to make sure I'm giving you guys the right info. All right, I'm looking at his matches right now. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at his matches here. Okay, so it looks like really okay. According to this, yeah, I'm reading this right. Let me make sure I'm reading this right. Hang on, guys. I'm pretty sure I am reading this right, but I just want to make sure. Yes, correct. Oh yeah, I am reading this right. So the last time Lio Rush actually wrestled was October 9th of this year. He wrestled for GCW in a 3-way. He lost to Alex Zane. It was a GCW Fight Club. What is it? Yeah, it looks like it was a GCW Fight Club event, pay-per-view event. Carousel Room at Showboat Hotel, Atlantic City, in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Okay, so I don't know how. I don't know. I would have to see a lot more from where things are gonna go here between Lio and Dante, because right now, just visually, I'm just not seeing. You feel where I'm coming from? And if I can expand upon that thought a little bit more, I just feel like Dante would kick the shit out of Lio Rush. So I'm having a hard time really envisioning Lio Rush being. Let me tell you what I think may ultimately happen here. I don't feel it's going to be as clear cut as maybe some of us are thinking as far as ultimately Lio Rush, Dante Martin. I would not be surprised if Lio Rush ultimately tapped into the services of somebody else, and maybe they would be the ones to basically handle his business when it comes to Dante Martin, and he's pretty much maybe feuding with them. Who that person could be, that I'm not sure. That for me, I would need a day or two to think about that. I could probably give you guys some names on Monday's show. But like right now, like just I gotta actually look at the roster and just because I gotta get an idea. Like, okay, who's who's doing what, maybe who's kind of quiet right now, who haven't we heard from in a while. I gotta look at the roster and pretty much go from there. Let's see. From there, Wheeler Yuta versus John Moxley. This was a straight up fucking squash match. Moxley this was over in. This was like under 70 seconds. I mean, he just laid his ass out. From there, Serena Deeb backstage chatting it up with Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone pretty much doing that little robot slide. Sheeta beating the shit out of Serena Deeb. And I love the line that CM Punk had gave as we pretty much were going on to our next match, which had to do with the Dark Order taking on the Super Click, where CM Punk had, and you just would have had to have lived through it, know exactly what he was referring to, but he says something along the lines, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's about 90% accurate. He says, that's a nice full set of hair there that Serena Deeb has. And, just the way he said it, you're just kind of going, yeah, to just a regular old, yeah, that is some nice hair. She does have some nice hair. But, if you are a veteran wrestling fan, your memory lane, you know exactly what he was referring to was this moment right here, the Straight Edge Society. Oh, man. CM Punk, that's what I mean, man, as far as being so quick-witted, man. Just fucking bringing it. Just his timing. It's badass. I love it. I love it. And as soon as he said that, I don't know how many of you guys were thinking this, but as soon as he said that, this is automatically where my head went. She was awesome during that. She was. I thought it was kind of sad that after the whole Straight Edge Society thing, she ultimately just disappeared. I always thought that was stupid, quite honestly. Obviously you look at what was going on with the women's roster way back when, and sadly there was just really no way, no how that Serena Deeb was going to be able to break through. Not with everything that was going on with the women's division for WWE at that point in time, but I love that. I love that wittiness there of CM Punk. As we go into the Dark Order, think about that. So we pretty much little nod there to one dark cult, and here we are going to another cult in the Dark Order there. Dark Order taking on the Super Clique. Look, okay match. But man, did we really have to try to put the Dark Order over? Yeah, I don't know. That's the whole thing for me, right? Adam Cole being the one to pick up the pin, I'm down with that. I'm totally down with that. Especially given the fact that he lost to Daniel Bryan. Remember that now. He lost to Daniel Bryan. So for him to essentially get that loss back, okay. All right, I'm down with that. That's cool. Silver continues to impress me. Definitely got to give him his props and everything. Post-match, Jungle Boy tries to go after the Super Clique. From there, they ran off. I think they were trying to tease him to come on in the ring, and Jungle Boy grabs a steel chair, and I've never seen so many guys run from a motherfucker with a chair. Small guy with a chair. I mean, obviously, Jungle Boy's not Marco Stunt size, but small guy, chair, one of him, and there's like many of you. Okay, obviously somebody goes high, they're obviously going to get hit. Another person goes low, but we had to sell. I don't know. For me, I just thought that was kind of silly, quite honestly. He managed to get a hold of Brandon Cutler. He pretty much was going to his body. From there, we get a nice little video package. I guess this is something that had went down earlier in the week. Cody Rhodes appearing at his wrestling academy, where his fellow students, even his blood brother there, and Dustin Rhodes and Arn Anderson, they're not happy with him. They're giving him tough love. They're pretty much calling him a Hollywood bitch, because Hollywood has pretty much softened him up. It's made him weak. It's made him a pompous jackass as far as they're concerned. Arn Anderson decides he's going to put him through a drill where everyone is going after him one at a time. And the whole mission, whole purpose of this drill is so that Cody, knows basically, look, always have your guard up. Your enemy is going to come at you from many different angles. You need to be prepared. That's kind of what I think Arn was trying to teach him here. If you were to tell me, no, Arn was just trying to teach Cody, how to score on the first date with a girl, I would say to you, I'm sure somewhere in there, metaphorically speaking, I could maybe take what Cody learned tonight and apply it, but I need a day or two to really marinate on that. This was very straight. Even CM Punk jumped on this afterwards. Even he felt this was really weird and questioned what exactly were we being shown. I mean, he said that flat out. This was very fucking odd. It really, really was. Arn talks to Cody about how Cody never wanted to disappoint kids. But what would kids have thought of Dusty for busting up Arn Anderson? Nah. They didn't think nothing because Arn had it coming. Just like Malakai Black has it coming too. So you're just kind of like, yeah, okay, dude, whatever. And apparently, next week's Dynamite, which is also going to be on a Saturday, so make sure you guys are setting your DVRs. Apparently, on Dynamite next week, Cody Rhodes and Malakai Black are supposed to be going at it again. Look, I got to be honest with you guys. This for me is just so, I didn't recall getting some type of a, hey, did you see this? They showed this exclusively on Elevation, Dark Elevation. Yeah, apparently Cody is trying to work things out with Arn Anderson, wants for Arn to give him another chance. I mean, this was just so left field because the last time we see Cody and Arn basically said to Cody, shut up. Cody, I don't want nothing to do with your ass. Come on, Lee. At least this kid will listen to me. So, it just kind of, this was just really weird. MJF, moving on. By the way, as far as predictions, I want to see the pot stirred even more. I want to see Cody Rhodes lose to Malakai Black. I just feel that where we're going with this right now, I just feel that Cody is going to tap into some type of evil. Sure, all the stuff that he's saying in the interviews, you'll never see me go heel because I have a kid now. And like, dude, your kid isn't even talking yet. You literally just had your kid. You can still go out there and have some fun. Like, I'm not picturing that. No. Stop. I'm just picturing this. Something is going to manifest from Cody where we are going to see a heel Cody. I just feel like we are. And whether or not the fans are going to give a damn, I don't know. But this is a very delicate position for Cody Rhodes right now because the babyface Cody Rhodes, nobody's feeling that anymore. Add into the mix that whole little reality show. I've actually watched a couple of minutes, past couple of episodes, and I'll be honest with you guys. Doesn't interest me whatsoever. Hate to say that, but that's the truth. MJF in the house. MJF talks about the place smelling like hookers and gasoline. And mentions to Darby Allin, hey, I'm ready for a fight. What's up? Get on out here. Let's have our fight. Well, here's the thing. There was no advertised fight between Darby Allin and MJF. So this is straight up bullshit. But MJF takes it a step further, has a ref come on out, does the whole 10 count, and pretty much tries to declare himself as the winner. Well, before the 10 count could even happen, like that final, okay, 7, 8, 9, 10, lights go out, lights come back on, Sting arrives, music and all, bat in hand. Sting gingerly walks down the ramp, walks into the ring, getting ready to size up MJF. When MJF decides he's going to throw Wardlow into Sting. Wardlow meets Sting's bat, goes down. MJF is already out of the ring, looking on. And we kind of got this tease that's going on now of MJF and the Icon Sting. I'm down with that. MJF and Sting, bring it. I actually welcome that. Look, Darby Allin, I dig the kid. I dig the fucking kid. But honestly, I would love to see Darby Allin just take a back seat and just let's see Sting and MJF. I think that would be a very interesting program. Just battle of the words on the mic too. Oh my God, I'm just picturing the field day MJF would have cutting up on Sting there and all. That'd be, yeah. I would have no problem seeing MJF Sting one-on-one. Look, I got this vibe though. They may end up just Sting, Darby, Wardlow, MJF. And if they do go down that route, I totally would be okay with that. But my personal preference, Sting, MJF. We'll see what happens. Kiera Hogan taking on Penelope Ford. Ford going over. This was not a good match. This is the prime example of, hey, neither one of these women are a ring general. This was a perfect example of that. Both of these women, it just felt like they were trying to do their best to get in their shit, and everything seems so discombobulated. Everything just seems so chaotic. You know, there's that fun, chaotic energy and pacing and all of that. And then there's, whoa, this is just confusing, chaotic. What are sloppiness in this one? I don't like saying that either, because I'll give Penelope Ford her props, but she's made strides to improve, and she has. Kiera Hogan, anybody that checks out my NWA shows, you've checked out my Wild recaps at some point. I've always shown, or even my Impact joints, I've shown Kiera Hogan a lot of love. I think it's no secret that she's one of my absolute favorites, right down to the point. Many times, I remember during the Wild recaps, I would say to you guys, if there was ever somebody further down the road that maybe needs to be considered as a good, strong baby face to ultimately become the next Wild champion, I always said Kiera Hogan is somebody, you know, and she's done a really good job flushing out her personality, her in-ring character more and more and everything. And she's bona fide good in the ring. But this was one of those rare occasions, probably first time, if not ever, first time in a very long time, like in a few years, that I've ever said anything bad about a Kiera Hogan match. And this one was not good. I mean, it's obvious here with the opportunities that AEW keeps giving to Kiera Hogan. Obviously, they see a lot of great potential in her. It's also obvious that they have a lot invested in Penelope Ford and everything. But yeah, these girls, they just did not click. They did not gel. Hopefully we don't see these girls ever lock up again, if we ever do see these girls lock up, it needs to be under the circumstances of, a tag match. And since we've seen Kiera Hogan, basically be victim here to Penelope Ford. And like I said, her record right now, Kiera Hogan, that is, her record now, I think, is either 2-4 or 2-5. So only 2 wins in AEW. If you wanted to go the Red Velvet route, pair her up with Ruby Soho, that's one route you could go. Another route you can go is definitely Kiera Hogan and Ruby Soho against the team of the Bunny and Penelope Ford. And then, look, it's pretty obvious who the in-ring general would be as far as that match goes. It would all fall on Ruby. Because not for nothing, but again, going back to what he said earlier in the night, Ruby, damn good match there that she had with the Bunny. I mean, it was one of the Bunny's best performances I've seen from her in AEW thus far. I personally feel. So, yeah. Keeping it short, though, I will say this. I will be complimentary from this point. Keeping this particular match short, that was the right move, because if this would have been any longer, would have hurt the show, would have hurt the fan morale for sure. We already mentioned the post beatdown from earlier that went down on Penelope Ford. Again, Ruby Soho jumping on Penelope Ford, getting a little bit of payback from what went down on Rampage and everything. Great video package of Miro. Finally, we hear from Miro. Miro is talking about how he isn't sure what happened that caused him to lose the TNT title. He feels that God has turned their back on him because look at him. He was given this body of granite and a neck of sand. And Miro says he will either be a champion or an enemy, and it's time to destroy. Talks about how he hasn't seen his wife since losing the title, and he will not again until he is God's favorite champion. I mean, really great video package, and it just got my gears in motion, and I just couldn't help but wonder, as far as this God that he's been praying to, what if this God has a name? What if this God just is somebody we're very familiar with? I'm just going to leave you guys marinating on that one. We'll talk more about that on Monday. But I tell you what, my gears are just, that'd be pretty damn sweet as far as his God goes. Hangman Page talking with Tony Schiavone. Again, this is the part where you're looking at Schiavone wondering, okay, we about to get another Slad robot here. Because Schiavone, the beatdowns, man, what's going on here? Page talks about the feud with Kenny Omega and just how everything has come back full circle and everything. Talked about losing his confidence a little bit. Also talks about how the one thing that it felt like he never lost was the fans chanting cowboy shit. Gave them a moment to jump in there and everything. And, pretty much talking about this shot that he has, this opportunity for the championship and everything. And he says that it wasn't hard to figure out, but it's nice to hear it from a source for a change, as far as the fans being invested in him. And he basically promises that he's going to put everything, give it his all, give the fans their money's worth, give them everything that he has at Full Gear, including his cowboy shit. So it was a pretty solid promo. So it was a pretty good promo. Good shit right there. Danielson taking on Bobby Fish, main event of the night. They went about 12 minutes, maybe 13 minutes. Fish was mostly in on the offense. He got a lot in there. pretty good. I'll tell you this, they made Bobby Fish look damn good in defeat. I will definitely stress that. I will definitely stress that. Made him look pretty good. Danielson going over, come on, man. I mean, he's white hot right now. Makes a ton of sense, especially since they had revealed what was going on with the tournament eliminator bracket. I will actually show you guys how that's looking in a hot second. I actually have a screenshot of that. I don't have a problem with Fish losing this match here. Again, I can't help but bring up the question I asked earlier, which is, okay, next 30 days, next 60 days, 90 days, what's the goal here with Bobby Fish? You know, where do we hope to, right? But for what we got tonight against Danielson, you know, 2 ROH alumni, this was honestly a damn good formula that AEW put here, and having Danielson get the win, particularly over somebody that, you know, has some pretty good in his own right. He does, when you stop and think about it. Bobby Fish, you know, this was good equal footing, right? Name value and all of that. This was equal footing as far as I was concerned. So they did a nice little balance right here. I personally felt. Good match. Good match. Now, you know, if you want to kind of, how was it compared to Suzuki? I mean, come on, man. I don't think that would be a fair comparison. I don't think. But it was good. It was actually a decent little matchup. I probably, if I were to go from 1 to 10, 1 being 10 being awesome sauce, I probably would give the match, I probably would give it a 7. A 7 out of 10. So what's that? What's that? Maybe like a B minus? I'd give it a B minus. All right. So let me show you guys how this tournament bracket is looking. Pretty good. It's pretty good. With like about a minute left of the show, we saw the bracket for the number 1 contenders Eliminator Tournament. Now let me load up this image for you guys, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about here. Bring my image back. All right, so there you go. There's your bracket. There is the World Title Eliminator Tournament. Pretty much it's going to start Friday on Rampage, and it'll continue on Saturday's Dynamite. And pretty much the final 2 participants will meet up at Full Gear, where we will figure out who's going to get a future world title. Sorry about that. Who's going to get a future world title shot at the champion there between Omega and Page. So for those of you that can't really read the fonts there, let me start with the far right bracket. So we're going to have Dustin Rhodes take on Bryan Danielson. And then right up under that, Lance Archer is going to be facing Eddie Kingston. Now let's go over to the far left side, going from the top. Dark Order's 10 will be locking up with Jon Moxley. And then right up under that, Orange Cassidy will be taking on Powerhouse Hobbs. Look, you're asking me straight up who I would like to see at the end at Full Gear. Oh, man. At the end, I personally would love to see Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson. Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson. And I'm telling you guys this right now, straight up. If Kenny Omega does not lose that championship, you know, if there was ever a time where, and let me go ahead and take this off for you guys. If there was ever a time where I used to feel as though, oh yeah, full circle story, hey man, Adam Page, I'm telling you, have him take the championship off of Kenny Omega, I was saying that for months upon months. But man, how the times have changed, because you look at the landscape now of AEW and it's not really sure if that's the route to go on anymore. Really feels as though, as far as where the real money is, Omega Danielson. I'm telling you guys here on this show tonight, I would be shocked if Hangman Adam Page won that AEW title. I don't see it happening at Full Gear. I don't see it happening. Feel that the bigger setup here, Omega Danielson. Just following along with the storyline, Danielson wanting to get a shot at that championship of Omegas. Yeah. But Moxley, Omega. That's who I'm looking at. Let's look at the bracket here one more time. All right, so let's start with the far left. I'm going to go with Moxley. And then as far as Orange Cassidy, Powerhouse Hobbs, I'm going to go with Hobbs. I could definitely see some type of fuckery going on there with Team Taz and them. I could definitely see a little something going on there. Yeah, Moxley and Hobbs. Now let's go over to the far right. Danielson over Dustin for sure. And then you got Eddie Kingston taking on Lance Archer. Man, that's a coin flip, yo. That is a coin flip. I gotta go with Archer. So for the semifinal, Archer, Danielson, and then Moxley, Hobbs, and then obviously out of that, Moxley over Hobbs, Danielson over Archer. That's how I'm looking at the bracket. Pretty damn good bracket, though, honestly. Pretty damn good. So that was Dynamite, though. That was Dynamite that we had got for tonight. Now, look, we were talking about ratings there. I was teasing it earlier. We now know the numbers there for Rampage and how they did. Also SmackDown as well. I actually have the numbers right here. Bear with me a second here. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Yeah, so it looks like, hang on here. Bear with me a second here. Yeah, so it looks like SmackDown on FS1 drew 793,000 viewers. Now, remember, the show started at 8 p.m. Eastern. Now, when you look at last week's SmackDown, which was on Fox, that SmackDown had drew 2.147 million viewers. The last half hour of the show had featured a main event, as you all know, between Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks, and that match had no commercial interruptions whatsoever. But again, SmackDown on FS1, that had 793,000 viewers. So, I mean, that's pretty good for FS1. That's pretty good. Following the 1 hour free buy-in show on YouTube, as far as AEW on TNT, the broadcast itself, that drew 549,000 viewers. You look at the previous week's episode of Rampage, it did 466,000 viewers, with the final viewership brought in of about 502,000 viewers. So, I know a lot of people are going to be looking at this and, they're going to be, take that, ha ha ha. And, look, when it's all said and done, just kind of echo the sentiments I had mentioned earlier on social media, in reflecting to the numbers here. Honestly, this is how you got to be looking at it right now. Friday night, just really stop and think about this. Friday night, going into this weekend, was just a great weekend to be a pro wrestling fan. Pro wrestling on a Friday night, pro wrestling on a Saturday night. Man, when you got healthy competition like this, it's good on so many cylinders. Not only does it have us wrestling fans talking, but it has us podcasters talking. It has us columnists talking. It has vloggers. It has everybody in the entire, when you got it like this, it is a win-win situation, and ultimately it's a win-win situation for the fans. The fans are the ones that ultimately benefit from this the most. And I really wish that we can get away from the constant, well, this is better than, it's like, nah, you know what? If you just like all things wrestling, then you should be able to embrace everything and just, because you just look at all the variety that's out there in 2021 and beyond. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. A great time to be a wrestling fan. And I tell you what, I love this healthy competition that's going on. There's nothing wrong with competition. Nothing wrong with it. Because competition for your attention, competition for your input, competition for ultimately your money. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. You see it every day and experience it every day. If you really take a step back and think about it, right down to where you're buying your groceries. Sure, Harris Teeter may have these chips over here for this price, but over here at Wegmans, they want, but then you understand what I'm saying? Like, just nice, good back and forth that you got going on as far as the competition and everything. So competition is good, because at the end of the day, it just brings out the best, and it essentially helps get people more invested in your product, trying to figure out, what you're going to do, what you're about, how you maybe are going to counter this. And I just wish that wrestling fans as general, I just wish we could be more receptive, because I know a lot of people are looking at these numbers. Take that, WWE. Oh, hey, AEW won. So I know a lot of fans are operating like that right now, but you look at those numbers and you just combine them for a Friday night. We're talking, what was that? What was that number again? We're talking like 500 and what? 66,000. And then the other one was like, what, 793,000 or some shit like that. So basically you had like almost 1.5 million fans or some shit that were collectively watching wrestling for that night. Throw in the YouTube buy-in show, which almost has 1 million itself. And you've got essentially, over a little bit over 2 million that were checking out wrestling for the weekend. That's badass. That is fucking badass. When was the last time? I'll end it on this note. When was the last time you can recall that much buzz going on for wrestling? I can remember a time before SmackDown even moved to Fridays, and Impact Wrestling briefly was on Fridays. The poor numbers that they were bringing in. Look, not for nothing, I can remember the episodes of WOW, Women of Wrestling, and New Japan on Access TV. I can remember the numbers that they were bringing in on a Saturday night. I mean, decent, but nothing really to be, wow, nothing to be really over the moon for. But they were pulling in better numbers than Impact. I do remember that much. They were pulling in better numbers than Impact. So for 2021 and to see what we're able to get with these numbers, I mean, it's just a win-win. It's just a win-win. So think about that, considering all the things that we covered here tonight. All right, so on that note, I'm going to stick a fork in it. I'm going to call this show DONE done. To those of you that had tuned in live, checked out this episode, appreciate you guys. Very rare we do stuff like this on a Saturday night. I promise you this much. If we do this again on a Saturday night, We'll definitely do this a lot earlier, I promise you. If I would have remembered, trust me, we would have been on as soon as Dynamite was off the air. As soon as it was off the air, we would have been on. But post your feedback. Give me your comments. Let me know what you guys had thought about Rampage and Dynamite for this weekend. Legit, I want to know. I want to know what you guys had thought. I read everything right down to the point. There was one comment I had saw yesterday for one of the polls that I had put up, and I definitely want to show him some love. There was a comment that came in from Mortalica, who had said, for Rampage, solid 9 out of 10. Overall, great show. Buy-in was awesome. Punk's match was great. Ruby's match started slow, but it got better. The Bunny is so underrated, and the main event was also a great match. Dos Santos looked good. So trust me, I do see every comment that comes my way, but give me your thoughts. Let me know what you guys had thought about Rampage and Dynamite for this weekend. As far as programming notes, I'll be sitting down with the missus later on today. I'll be recording a new Wrestling with the Topics for our Patreon members, patreon.com/RCWR show. Other than that, Monday, October 18th, 2021, new episode of the RCWR show will be live after Raw goes off the air. Tune in for that. We'll talk more about SmackDown, look at the numbers there, talk about that exclusive poll I had teased earlier. That was a YouTube exclusive. We'll go all over the place on that show. So tune in for that one. That's going to be pretty good. And then don't forget, Tuesday will be, give me a second here. I see a gnat. And I missed it. Or did I? Yay, I got it. I hate gnats. Damn gnat. I don't know why, but I got a gnat in here. It was in here. You know what it probably is? These lights, these studio lights, they are so bright, and my window is open. Now that I'm thinking about it, it will attract. That's what's going on. But let's see, Monday, we told you about Monday, and then Tuesday for you NWA fans, we will have a new NWA post show for you guys. So Monday and Tuesday, represent. Check out the shows, because after that, that's it until I'm going to be missing all the pay-per-views. I know there's going to be a Crown Jewel. NWA is going to be doing a pay-per-view. They're little by any means necessary. There's going to be a ton of stuff I'm going to be missing after Tuesday. So represent, as after that, I won't be back with you guys until Tuesday, the 26th of October. So again, we got the 18th and the 19th for new shows. And then after that, I'll be pretty much on a week-long break until the 26th of October. So definitely represent. Check it out. Let me know if you agree with some of the points that I made about Rampage and Dynamite tonight. You got your own point that you would like to make. I check out all the comments. To definitely try to do my best to respond to all the comments as well. Get at me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. And until next go round, wishing all of you all to be safe. And most importantly, be kind to one another. I'll catch you guys next go round. Peace, y'all. Take care.